Do you feel like you want to clap back right when someone says something to you or looks at you a certain way? Hey, the world is heavy right now, and a lot of people are feeling on the defense. We've been taught to use our conversations to divide or use our conversations as weapons when we feel convicted. We feel we have the answer, we have the solution. That's not the correct way. And take it from me, a person who thought I was really good at debating. That's why I went to law school. I found out the hard way and learned the right way how to have conversations that connect and bring about justice. Lean in, tune in. You're going to want to take notes. Hey, if I were you, I would actually get your whole team in this one because they're going to want to learn this too. I remember growing up and I had a cousin tell me, "Man, you like to debate, don't you?" And I said, "Yes, I do. In fact, I'm going to be an attorney." And I thought that being an effective advocate at the time was being very loud, being smart, and letting everybody know how smart I am. And also just putting people down, not listening to them and debating in a way that causes division, divisiveness. I really didn't care at the moment if it hurt someone. I just want to let you know how I felt. And anytime you're hearing us talk about authenticity and using our authentic power, that's not what we mean. We don't mean railroading people and then getting them in the corner and then just like telling them what it is and just like beating them down, right? That's not going to get us anywhere. So I want to let you know the right way to use your conversations for connection and to bring about justice. So I want to talk about what's really going on in the world today. So, a lot of us have heard about Charlie Kirk. If you are in 2025 and you are in the August, September, October timeframe of 2025, let me provide you with some context. So, there was a gentleman named Charlie Kirk who would travel across the country, who was religious and a Christian nationalist, who thought this is a great way for me to go on to college campuses and teach people how to debate and tell them how smart I am. Tell them about the Word of God and let them know where they're wrong and not allow them the opportunity to explore and discover their own ways of conversations. Now, a lot of you who are pro Charlie Kirk would disagree with me because you thought that he was providing the word of God and the scriptures came and people now are going to be converted to Christ. And to be honest with you, being a person who was raised in the church, who was the Easter piece girl, who studied the Bible, who read the Bible, who knew the Bible, who worked at a church, who sang in the church band and did everything that I thought was right. When I looked upon what Charlie Kirk was doing, if I wasn't a Christ follower, I would run away. And the reason is because there were so many people that were put down in the effort of trying to support the word of God that it also caused so many to be so turned off. Now, I want to share with you that what I felt Charlie Cook was trying to do was to spread the gospel, but like everyone in the Bible, they there was no really resemblance of Christ. Turn on any debate that you would see with Charlie Kirk, and you would see a lot of back and forth dialogue, but there was this shutting down of the person. If you didn't agree with them, there was a shutting down with them. And I am not, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. And tell me, you prove me you're right. And I just felt like, wow, that reminds me of a bully. It reminds me of someone who wants to put you in a corner and draw you in and lure you in and then beat you into submission and use the people around you to make you feel stupid. And so that is not at all what we talk about in the Rise Advocates movement. We are not about destroying people, but I am about getting into conversations with people who are about uniting people who may not always agree on certain topics, but have to work together, have to be in a community together, have to live under a certain authority, meaning like the Constitution and the people that fought for the people to have certain rights in this country due to some of the past atrocities that have happened that have been deeply inequitable, that caused a lot of division. And when people come into venues where their goal is to be right, their goal is to be divisive. Their goal is to destroy, to demean. And some people have a certain higher level of destroying and using your conversation as a weapon. And we see it all the time. And as of this date, we're seeing it more and more. Unfortunately, we have people who are in positions of perceived power and actual power simply because they're in seats that actually create authority, like the Supreme Court. We have people in political power. We have people in business power who use their power in a way that destroys. And this is what I'm talking about. What we have to do is we can't buy into that narrative. We can't believe that that is the correct narrative. It is not the correct narrative. And take it from me, a person who deeply was religious. Now, I will tell you some of the things that I used to say. You know, I would look down upon people who were of a different, who weren't male and female, and look at them very differently and oddly, not with compassion. I actually wasn't drinking when I was in college, and I thought that it was not of God. And so when I first met my husband, I told him that if Jesus comes back and you're drunk, you're going to hell. You do know you're hell. You do know you're a sinner. And it was like everything, I felt like I had this authority of God within me to let people know how wrong they are. And that's exactly what it was. The reason why I understood what Charlie Kirk was doing was because I used to be that way. And I realized what a horrible way to be because I'm not at all loving. And to love my neighbor, I don't go to my neighbor in order for me to love them and be kind to them. It's not like I would say, okay, well, tell me what your immigration status is. Let me know what sexual orientation you prefer. Do you go to church? And all these qualifications in order for me to provide love to them, right? It's like I want to be right with what it is I'm doing and not getting to the point of what Jesus did. And let me tell you, and if you were to actually have a video in Jesus's life when he was speaking, I guarantee you it wouldn't have sounded like Charlie Kirk's. Now, what would have sounded like Charlie Kirk are the religious rulers who killed Jesus. That's who would have been barking loud. And Jesus had a lot to say about that. And so this particular video is all about the people who are what I would call Jesus followers, people who actually want to use their conversations to heal, use conversations to provide compassion, love, truth, honor, joy, and this knowing that we have a specific time in our life to live out our life mission in a way that brings about community. Now, what we do know in this world today is like, well, how could some people really think he was the best and now he has this honor? But there have been several people in history who have been put on pedestals who weren't all about unity and love. And there have been other people who, over time, after their death, realized that they were. And so, what I want this podcast, this particular conversation to be about today is what can you do? What is your role in bringing about opportunities to get the world to heal, get your community to heal, your work to heal, to come about and provide a certain level of compassion that unites? And so, what I want to do today is I want to go into our coaching corner for our Rise 53 Inner Circle. Every single week, we provide coaching, we provide this type of education and knowing how to get you from point A to point B. And this is what I want to talk to you about today. So, Where in your life do you feel the pressure to win? So I feel like it's almost inevitable as an athlete, as an individual, we want to win. Like we want to be the best. We're going to be the best, and our organization is going to win. And I also know, as a person who wants to win, that there's a good way to win and then there's a horrible way to win. And so I want you to, if you feel the pressure to win, you are not living your best life. If you win and you're putting your all in there and you're doing good work about that and you win and you're doing it not to destroy other people, then you are actually doing good work. But where in your life do you feel that pressure to be on, to hustle, to do it? Where do you feel that? Write that down. All right. That's the first thing that I want you to think about. The second thing is, how would you change the energy that you're bringing in the particular situation? And by the way, I'm reading from my notes here. And it says, so what would happen if you walked into your next conversation with the intention to connect instead of competing? Like, because at the end of the day, I feel a lot of people, even there are so many leaders who feel like, oh, I'm just going to beat people into submission instead of walking into a conversation to actually sit down and listen and have a conversation, to understand where people are coming from, to get the context. A lot of us are so impatient. We've been taught to put everything into a 10-second bite. And so we don't want to take the time to learn about other people. And that's a big problem. So that is the second thing I want you to think about. The third and final thing is, who in your world needs to listen to, who do you need to listen with love this week? See, a lot of us think that we have to protest, we have to go out on the front lines, we have to change laws. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of those things happening right now. But a lot of us don't realize that we can change things going on in our right in our little circle, in our community, in our job, in our work, in our family, in our synagogues, in our religious types of monasteries. That's where I'm talking about doing our greatest work. And that's something that I want us to think about deeply. And I also want you to know, like, there is that sense of humility. We're talking about humility all this month with our Rise 53 Inner Circle. And humility is all about intention. It's about how you're walking into situations. What is it that you want to bring about? And when you put the intention with the correct attention and with this desire for unity and this desire to bring about change, that's when justice happens. It's a process. It doesn't come in with the railroad uh, shooting through or a speeding car. Often this takes time. And it takes time you getting back up and doing it again. And getting up, back up and doing it again and doing it again. So I'm not asking you to be quiet. I'm asking you to do what I believe a lot of people are doing now, especially women of color, is resting and resilience and resistance. You can rest and resist and also believe in democracy at the same time. But do it with a sense of humility, do it with intention of bringing about change, not coming with a sword and slashing everyone that comes in your way. What do you think about that? Don't you think that that could be a more powerful way to move the needle in getting us to come to a space of civil discord, of community building, of building people up, of letting them know that I see you, I hear you, I value you, and coming to a better way of living? Anytime you believe in something so much and you believe it's right, you would be willing to actually create time in your space to find solutions to get people to understand your position. That's the bottom line. So that's the message that I have for you today. And this is where we are going within our Rise Advocates movement. And we actually have a manifesto that actually solidifies everything I'm talking about. This is how we live. This is how we work. This is how we create legacy and generational change within our families, our homes, and in our communities and our work. If this is something that excites you, it's something that you want to be around, we want to invite you in. First, what we are going to encourage you to do is join our community. When you get onto our newsletter list, you'll be able to join our community and get access to the people who also believe this. The second thing that I encourage you to do is, work on your authenticity, work on your authentic power. And we have an audio series that you would want to take advantage of, and it's free. You also might be interested in our Rise Advocates Academy. This is a deeper commitment. We have an application that we accept. If you are an executive level, high achieving VP level woman, then this is for you. We will have the links in our caption, and we look forward to encouraging you through messaging just like this. So stay tuned, subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video or in the Rise Advocates community.